Hey guys, welcome back for a second video. So this video is going to serve as a follow-up to Matt and Austin's remarks about H.H. Holmes, who was an infamous serial killer in the 19th century. So on the topic of serial killers and psychopaths, another well-known killer of the late 19th century was Jack the Ripper. So Jack the Ripper actually lived in London, and in London, kind of the same setting as Chicago in a way, because a lot of his victims, first of all, a lot of his victims were unidentified. Only a few were actually confirmed. And another thing is he never actually was identified. They never knew who he was.
So Jack the Ripper had some similarities with Holmes in that they were both serial killers, so they both had multiple victims. Jack the Ripper had, within the Whitechapel killings, which were generally associated with him, they're like the 5 conical deaths. There are at least 5 assumed victims with Jack the Ripper, and that number could be up to 11. And since he was never identified, that number cannot be confirmed. Similarly, Holmes had multiple victims. Apparently, Holmes had confessed to 27 murders. However, his body count could be up to 200, so he is a little bit more successful than Jack the Ripper was in his killings. In terms of differences between the two characters, is that Holmes was a little bit neater with his killings. So his method of killing involved gassing them or having them just choke out and other similar methods. While Jack the Ripper, his victims were generally found mutilated. So they were found with body parts missing and hearts missing and uteruses cut out and all kinds of interesting things. So there was in that case, the two people were very different.
So speaking specifically about Jack the Ripper, so his victims were all known prostitutes, and they were also known for heavy drinking. So this placed them in the high-risk category for being victims, whereas Holmes' victims weren't really, they couldn't be seen as typical murder victims. They were just ordinary people that he would bring into his life. Because he was, like the other video discussed, he was a pretty non-suspicious dude. People really liked him, the people who knew him. So that's another difference between Jack the Ripper and Holmes. And with Jack the Ripper, there's actually no evidence of sexual assault, which is a little bit surprising since his victims were all prostitutes. And another thing about Jack the Ripper was a lot of his victims were initially killed with a throat slit from left to right, and then he would proceed to remove their organs and such. And yeah, so.
So the real big interesting thing between these two people is the psychology behind them and why they did what they did. So we know for Holmes is you're basically he's a psychopath in that the way that he is fully aware of what he's doing and how he's doing things. He's aware that he's murdering people. He's in touch with reality, and yet he's okay with it and he accepts it. And so this lack of empathy is something that characterizes a lot of psychopaths in the way that Holmes knows he's killing people, but that doesn't bother him, or it doesn't bother him that much. And similarly, we can assume that Jack the Ripper kind of acted the same way in that both Holmes and Jack the Ripper were able to kill people in secret without letting the public know. So this shows that there was some amount of planning involved, and they understood what was happening, and the fact that Jack the Ripper was never caught, and Holmes got away with lots and lots of murders before he was caught. And so in this case, we can kind of assume that Jack the Ripper was similar to Holmes in the way that they both thought and the way they both perceived people and how they didn't have empathy for their fellow human beings.
So I guess you could say overall, Holmes and Jack the Ripper together, both of them had a knack for killing, and it was something that they really found intriguing. So I think it'd be interesting to look into in our future videos what drove those two people specifically to kill.
That's all we have to say about these two guys, and thanks for watching.